Hello, today's video we have the following content.
Both Guo Yuxin and Liu Xiaoxu rose to fame with a single drama, yet their paths diverged drastically. The truth might be more brutal than a simple untying or falling out. Sudden fame is merely the beginning, not the end. In the world of short dramas, the name Guo Yuxin has become a guarantee of both popularity and quality. A graduate of the Central Academy of Drama's acting department, she didn't enter this field by luck, but rather through her solid, almost disruptive acting, raising the bar for the short drama industry significantly. While many actors remained in the comfort zone of exaggerated expressions and melodramatic dialogue, she had already begun telling stories through her acting. A lower gaze, and emotions were like a switch flipped, a pause, and the audience's hearts sank. She didn't need a barrage of lines, because her emotions spoke for themselves. It was precisely this hit drama that firmly cemented her and Liu Xiaoxu in the public eye. During that period, they were the most discussed couple in the short drama circle, synonymous with chemistry the moment the camera focuses on them. Traffic, buzz, and trending topics followed one after another. Two people seemingly on the same upward curve, however, took completely different paths after their meteoric rise to fame. The key wasn't whether they became famous or not, but how they used that fame. Guo Yuxin's choice was very clear: decategorization and delabeling. She didn't wallow in the safe persona of a short drama goddess, but actively dismantled her comfort zone. In terms of subject matter, she began to try more complex female characters. In terms of acting, she constantly reduced the traces of technique, making her emotions more restrained and authentic. When choosing projects, she prioritized character arcs over CP, couple, popularity. This seemingly slow approach is actually extremely risky in the speed-driven short drama industry, but precisely because of this, her characters have a longer lifespan. In contrast, Liu Xiaoxu, while not lacking in talent, was more easily swayed by the logic of traffic. Repetitive character settings, similar emotional expressions, and over-reliance on existing audience impressions allowed his works to maintain popularity in the short term, but made it difficult to achieve a true breakthrough. When the market rapidly updates its aesthetics, and when audiences begin to tire of the same emotional templates, the gap quietly widens. Therefore, the parting ways wasn't the end of a particular collaboration, but rather a crossroads in professional judgment. More realistically, the short drama industry is undergoing a brutal reshuffling. Platforms no longer prioritize speed, but stability. Audiences are no longer satisfied with a pile of exciting moments, but crave genuine emotions. At this stage, the requirement for actors is no longer just being able to become popular, but being able to go far. Guo Yuxin's advantage lies precisely in the fact that she treated short dramas as performance from the beginning, not as a stepping stone. This is why we see Guo Yuxin's current popularity no longer limited to on-screen couples and trending topics, but increasingly focusing on keywords like acting skills, character completion, and industry benchmark. She is transitioning from a hit actress to a sustainable actress. This also serves as a reminder to countless short drama practitioners: sudden fame is not the end, nor even a reward. It's more like an exam some are carried forward by popularity, while others choose to return to the essence of performance at the height of the hype. The divergence between Guo Yuxin and Liu Xiaoxu is, in fact, a microcosm of the growth of the short drama industry. What truly determines fate is never the drama that makes you a star, but rather, how you plan to navigate the path after your rise to fame. What truly sent chills down the spines of the industry was that these three hit dramas weren't simply copy-pasted versions of the same genre, but rather each one actively reinvented itself. A down on his luck painter, a girl from northeast China, an ordinary woman who has lost her beloved. None of the characters relied on filters or pre-existing personas, and no emotion was forced through dialogue. Guo Yuxin's most ruthless move was turning the details that viewers of short dramas most easily overlooked into emotional bombshells. The unconscious hesitation in her fingertips when the canvas was soaked by rain, the second pause before biting into a frozen pear, the barely perceptible gasp when holding an urn of ashes. These moments don't steal the show, but their impact is immense, like a dull knife slowly cutting into the audience's hearts. From this moment on, Guo Yuxin's year was no longer just a data phenomenon, but became an industry consensus. The platform began tailoring projects for her. Directors were willing to give her more complex and adventurous roles, and many screenwriters even implicitly projected her as the prototype for their characters. She was no longer defined as an actress suitable for short dramas, but rather as an actress who can elevate short dramas to a cinematic quality. In stark contrast, many of her contemporaries who rose to fame began to show signs of fatigue. Their emotional patterns became predictable, their roles highly homogeneous, and audiences went from being obsessed to tired of watching. For the first time, the short drama market clearly demonstrated that traffic may expire, but acting will not. Guo Yuxin's rise, to some extent, also broke the industry's unspoken rules. It's not only about sweet romance and shipping couples to win, nor is it necessary to rely on extreme emotions to break out. She used one work after another to tell audiences that true, high-level enjoyment comes from being understood, empathized with, and respected. So when people look back at her parting ways with Xiaoxu, they realize it wasn't the end of their relationship, but rather a divergence of paths. One chose to follow the trend, while the other chose to go against industry inertia. Time has provided the answer. 2025 belongs to Guo Yuxin, not because she's the most popular, but because she's gone the furthest. But what truly impresses is not just the staggering numbers and her constant presence on trending topics, but rather that she has transformed Meteoric rise to fame into a replicable professional paradigm, yet one that cannot be replicated in person. Backstage at the Hengdian microdrama night, a director privately remarked, "Guo Yuxin almost doesn't need emotional prompts. The moment the camera zooms in, she knows whether to focus her energy on her eyes, breathing, or pauses. When the director yells cut, she'll ask, was the emotion too early in the take?" This sensitivity to the rhythm of performance allows her to become increasingly stable in the high-intensity, fast-paced environment of short drama filming. Others rely on talent to keep going, she relies on methodology to go the distance. Her beauty is perfectly aligned with this professional attitude. She doesn't chase trends, but rather clearly understands what suits her best. Dark green velvet, clean lines, and restrained tailoring. Behind this aesthetic lies her understanding of feminine power, not needing to be overtly assertive, yet possessing inherent weight. No wonder netizens say that when she stands there, it's not like she's displaying her body, but rather occupying space. More subtly, this rounded and graceful presence itself becomes a form of resistance against the industry's aesthetic standards. When the entertainment industry is pushed towards a single standard by filters and extreme self-discipline, she uses her presence to tell everyone, there's more than one way to be beautiful, and sexiness doesn't mean being unrealistically thin. It's not about being relaxed, but about having enough confidence in oneself. And it is precisely because of this that Guo Yuxin is quietly undergoing an identity upgrade, from an actress chosen by the market to an actress who can influence the market in return. She makes platforms willing to give performances more space, makes audiences believe in the value of emotions again, and makes more young actors realize that short dramas are not a second-best option, but a direct path to the top. Perhaps a few years from now, when people look back at 2025, they will realize that it was not just Guo Yuxin's year, but a true watershed moment for the short drama industry. And she stands right at the center of the dividing line.
Thank you for watching the video. If this is your first time watching a video, please subscribe to the channel, like and leave your comments to help us develop your channel.